We are live, and we've been having a great conversation with Adon here, my man, and we've been talking. Always tune in Thursdays, Tuesdays live because you catch the whole stream, or become a member. If you hit join, you can go watch the whole stream uninterrupted until it gets processed. Usually I have it up the night of until the morning or early afternoon, and then I trim it to give you sort of a shorter chunk of the best part of the show. That way it gets shared easier, and you guys learn to come join us every night, or become a member. You can watch it in your leisure. But we've been talking about this breaking news, the Mutants, the Illuminati, which is a reliable source. They've gotten a lot of facts right. I got to say, I know these guys. I'm often jealous that they beat me to certain scoops, so I give praise where it's due. And they're saying that the Marvel is creating a new X-Men-like movie in the MCU called The Mutants. They don't have much more information, but this will be a X-Men feature to bring, to reboot the X-Men franchise, and they're calling it The Mutants currently, working title. It's being overseen by Kevin Feige. Now, they have no other specific information, but I believe them. I believe them because they have a pretty damn good track record. And it also just makes sense, right, Don, that they would have a X-Men type movie in the works. But as we were talking about this, because we've been speculating and doing things, we came into this debate because I'm realizing, and I think the chat's getting annoyed with me because I'm probably right. Andy Damas here. Don't blame the messenger like I told them. I'm just saying, we're in 2021, Adon. And we were just talking about Scarlet Witch, how she got her name, and where did the witches come from, and whatever. But that's how they sort of justified, they're witches, and apparently there's magic from the Salem witch trials. Don't ask why, they're just there, right? So that's how we're going to justify the name. And if you think about most of the characters in the MCU, a lot of them don't usually name the names, right? It takes a while to get the proper name out, or they're sort of creative about it. And I was asking Adon, who's a big comics guy, like, what if this is their way to go gender neutral and ignore and disregard the term the X-Men? Because there has been people out there who have been saying, well, how can you call it the X-Men anymore? And think about it. And I was just asking this question, and let's clip it here, because to me, this is clearly the worthy conversation that's going to get people upset. But I think it's a conversation, because could this be the way that Marvel realizes, you know what? Who in this world, in the MCU, in this day and age, is going to blurt out the term, we are the X-Men? Like, that's not going to fly in these movies. Back me up. Am I crazy?
I mean, if they're going to blurt it out, it'll be someone like Quicksilver's character who's just going to be a snarky guy who just says what he wants. But, yeah, you're not wrong. It's 2021. I mean, we've had a video not too long ago where we talked about Mr. Potato Head might be losing the Mister.
Yep.
And if anybody's an X-Man, that's an X-Man right there.
Facts. He's not, but they're just changing the brand to Potato Head, and I got no problem with that. Once they realize, no, everyone chill out, Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head will still exist. They're there. We're calling the brand now Potato Head, so you can have multiple versions. And you know what? I'm fine with that. But that's kind of what they're doing here. They're like, yeah, well, we're now the Mutants. And that's, honestly, it's like, what are you? I'm a mutant. We're the Mutants. We're the Mutants. Yeah, I'm a mutant. Are you a mutant? That's how they would use it. It's like in Walking Dead, they don't call them zombies. Walkers. There's walkers everywhere. The term zombie doesn't exist in their world because no one's ever used it, because they're the Walking Dead, right? So Now, if it's the X gene and then Professor X, they could still do a Professor X from the X gene, etc. Mm-hmm. But it just seems like Marvel, Kevin Feige, the world we're in currently, there's no... I mean, I want it to be, don't get me wrong, but there's no way Professor X would be like, you are now the X-Men. They're not going to be able to do it in today's climate.
But here's the thing, like, what's their team name going to be? That's a horrible... That's like saying, like, you get a group of guys together and you just be like, okay, what's your team name? We're the Men. No, you can't be the Men because it's gender neutral. Well, we're humans? Well, yeah, we're all humans. But that's our team name. No, it's a weak team name, man.
It is a really weak team name.
So, I mean, like, you want to make the Mutants. Okay. I'm not a fan of the title, but I'll go with that because you're introducing... If this is an introduction to mutants to our reality, then okay, I'll give you that. But that cannot be their name. That cannot be the team name. And I'm just trying to think of, like, some people were like, call it the X Team. But that's still going for, like, Xavier. And that's going to make the question, like, are they going to bring back Professor X for this? it just doesn't work. Maybe if they say it's the X gene, like the genetics was found by somebody and their initial was X, and then they say, okay, it's the X gene because they're like, you know how scientists like to do, they name stuff after themselves.
Sure.
When they discover something, then and it's happy coincidence. Then you have a professor, it's like Xavier. Then they could say, okay, we're the X-Men, but like,
dude, hold on.
Do we call firemen something different if they're a firewoman? Oh yeah, I guess we do. We do
call them a firewoman or a policewoman. Look, I see you, Denbo Slice. I'm blown away. You all actually think they won't call them the X-Men. Denbo, what planet are you living on currently? Are you not paying attention to the political climate we live in? They are literally removing the terms man and woman from everything. Like, we are living a gender-neutral, fluid, gender-binary. I don't even know. I don't even want to say it because I'm probably saying it wrong. We live in a world where it's just, you can't offend anybody. We have to protect the safe spaces. And it is a sexist term to put women in a group and call them the X-Men. Now, I don't care. Call them the X-Men, of course. But the more I think about it, the more I think about it in today's climate we live in, how can a character in Kevin Feige's Disney-fied Marvel universe call a group of people the Men?
See, and that's
someone will try to cancel them for it.
So, like, if we take that out, the Men, then what other titles are going to take out? Like X-Force, they can't have that because it's too oppressive.
There you go.
You know.
Yeah, it's true. What other? There's X Factor. No, X Factor is a reality show.
No, that's actually a comic too.
There is, right? I thought so.
That's a team of them too.
Good. All right. I was like, wait a second. They're about to X myself. X Force, I know, but yeah, guys, I don't want it. But I'm thinking ahead. Andy Damas here is calling. I watch this outrage culture every damn day, and in seeing this and seeing how careful everyone's being in this world, how terrified Hollywood is of using the wrong term, pronoun, etc. They're gonna, you have to put an X in the man, right? X-Man with it's like XMXN, like Latinx. X-Men X is what they're gonna have to call it or something.
Oh, that'd be horrible too. That'd be like Fan-4-Stick. Oh no.
Oh no. But God, think about I'm just angry. Because I don't even think they were thinking this through. The more I think about it, this is how you do it. You wouldn't call them X-Men. You'd call them mutants. And then it's the mutants, introduction to the mutants. And sure, maybe there is an X-Men team of men, and then they make fun of it. Like, don't you think we should change the name? But yeah, dudes, I don't know, man. That may be why they haven't announced it yet, or when they're slow to announce it, because XJW. Good one, Michael. XJW. God, man. Guys, tell me, come on. I'm not, please don't kill the messenger here. I'm just thinking by today's insane, politically safe standards, where we're not allowed to use certain terms anymore. We're changing definitions left and right. And look, I'm not hating or any group, and everyone should love who you want to love. Love is love. Be who you want to be. But my God, man, the X-Men is a comic book, and it's a team, and it's just a name. I don't understand why we're overthinking this, but you kidding me? People are going to overthink that, Adon. Tell me I'm wrong.
Oh, no. It's like, they're definitely going to overthink it. Absolutely. I'm surprised that, I'm sure it's been brought up in some media at one point in time where they're talking about the comics, and they were like, X-Men is too oppressive. And like, come on, man. Seriously? It's the same thing that happened when they were trying to change genders and their nationalities for certain characters. And it's one thing when you're doing it for the story, and I agree for people who were offended in that sense, but I do not agree with the people who are just offended at the fact that they made those changes in general.
Right.
And if it worked for the story, like I was a fan of female Thor. Yes, I agree. She probably could have had a better name, other than just call her Thor. But still, people always associate it as a female Thor. But this is a whole new level that I was just like, no, I want my X-Men. If you feel oppressed, I'm sorry, but that's who they are.
Well, we have a woman in the chat. So happy to meet Nicole. Are you there, Nicole?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me or see me?
Yeah,
or?
I got you now. It works. Cool. Good timing because you just stumbled.
I gotta figure out how to turn the volume off on my stuff here.
Oh,
Can
on
you
the
hear the
YouTube.
feedback?
Not yet.
No.
It looks like you figured it out. But Nicole, I don't know if you've been hearing, but yeah, so we're reacting to this news that Marvel's working on an X-Men movie and tentatively called The Mutants. And the more I've sat here and thought about it, in today's safe climate, is the X-Men even safe anymore? Could we get away with calling these movies the X-Men in Disney's world? And could the mutants be a way to work around that by saying, well, yeah, now that it's just the mutants? Am I crazy, or do you think there could be some women out there and some other people who would be upset at labeling this new movie the X-Men?
Yeah, it's getting to the point where it's painful. Like the things that they keep trying to go back in history and write, and it's like it's just platitudes at this point. Like I don't think any person that I know takes it seriously. I'm not like, finally there's someone out there that's giving a voice to all these weak, poor women that can't stand up for themselves. And it's like, what message are we sending? Are we sending that we need you to save us from society and from these horrible men that have taken over the world? Or are we strong enough to be able to have our own opinions about things and not be told that, we need to shut up if we have a different opinion than what society believes is the correct opinion for today? So it's just super frustrating. I don't think anyone actually believes any of the garbage that they're spouting off. It's just like this new thing of like, look how woke we are. And it's so frustrating, and I'm just over it. I'm over all of it. Stop ruining my stuff. Let me just enjoy some X-Men, and let's call it good.
But, amen, I agree, but it's like the reality of the world we live in.
The X-Men have some of the most powerful female characters. I don't get the problem. You can't call Charles' team the Mutants because not all mutants are part of his team. This is all Mystique's fault in Dark Phoenix with her X-Women line, lol.
That's true. Oh, Knock Shadow. Thank you, Knock Shadow. You're right, because there was the line, right? This is an X-Women? But the reality is that's going to... I mean... you're totally right, Nicole. Everything you said is spot on. And I don't think anyone actually really cares, but we live in this world now where people they're getting attention putting this out and being hurt and playing like, oh, this offends me. And then there's so many people and a whole new generation of people that we must protect this person who's hurt. Everyone, are you paying attention? This person is hurt over here. We must respect what they're feeling. And are you okay? What can we do we must do what they say because she's hurt. Oh, she's offended by this. So we must, okay, well, I don't want to offend, so we must change. That's the world we currently live in versus like having a conversation with the person who's hurt and say, well, why are you hurt? Why is it actually hurting you? What is this actually hurting you? Like, are you in pain? Are you physically in pain? No.
That's the thing that I think is the weirdest is that no one has actually said that they're offended by these things. It's just like, well, in society, like you're supposed to be offended by these things. And so therefore we're going to react before there's even a backlash to it. And it's like, everyone needs to cool their jets because I have not heard a single person say that they were offended by this, but I guess that doesn't matter anymore.
I'm
it's
sure
like whoever's quicker.
I'm sure we haven't looked deep enough on Twitter. I'm sure somebody has pretending to be offended. Also, Gene Rick, thank you for that super sticker. I meant to call out, so I didn't want to forget, but I appreciate that. It was very generous of you. Thank you guys for supporting. Keep it coming. And if you support like Knock Shadow did, $20 and up, I think, the British robot will talk. It sounds very kind of Paul Bettany-esque a little bit, so keep it coming. Thank you, Knock Shadow. But yeah, I'm bringing you both on screen now. I'm worried. I wasn't worried. I was like, all right, it's a boring title. It is what it is. But the more I think about it, this seems like totally a way for Disney to avoid and sort of create this without going there. Because why would they call themselves the X-Men? Why do they call it's the X gene? But who coins the term in the comics, Adon or Nicole? Do you know who actually coins the term and uses it for the first time? Do you guys know?
I don't.
Anybody in the chat know? Where does like the term? Where is it used first? Is it Charles? Does he come up with it because it's the X? I mean, back then it wasn't a big deal. Policeman, fireman, that's sort of what it was. It just was how it is. It's.
I'm hoping that this is just a way for them to separate themselves from the previous franchises and it be their own branded thing. Like going forward, it's the Mutants because it's now owned by Disney and Marvel, and that's the way that they can kind of distinguish themselves. I'm hoping that we're not reading too much into this, but given, like you said, the way society is, it's probably 100% like they had a board of people sitting there. What could people possibly be offended by? X-Men. Okay, that's our new thing that we got to like tack off. But I'm hoping that's not the case because it just seems ridiculous.
They're saying, yeah, I mean, Rogue Comics and Knock, they're all saying it was Charles who was the one who came up with the idea. So because it was the X gene, he's Professor X. And so you will now be the X-Men. I mean, it makes sense. It's sort of a simple, easy thing to say versus the X team or the, I mean, that just doesn't, it's not.
I'm reading the Wikipedia.
Yes.
And at one point they said it's because they have extra normal powers and abilities. So it's all X there. But personal point of view, I don't see it beyond Professor Xavier. I always thought he was an egocentric character. So I would believe him putting his name on top of that.
Right. He wants to own the team. It's his team. Man, well, anyway, all right. I won't keep hounding on that. It is what it is. But I don't know, guys. Be careful. I bet you that's how they do it. And it's sort of a clever way to do it because you're right, Nicole. They could sort of say, well, we're trying to separate ourselves. And, you know, they are mutants. And so this is the introduction of the mutants to the MCU. So we're leaning in that way with this new version. Kevin Feige is smart. And if that's what he's trying to do just to play it safe, he'll use verbiage like that to sort of avoid the topic altogether without ever having to address, well, we're not X-Men, until someone really puts his feet to the fire. But it is, honestly, if I'm Marvel, that's a clever way to do it because that way you can sort of get ahead of it. That if they ever acknowledge it, then they're going to be in so much flack. But it does seem like there's something beyond this. Beyond the title, we've talked about this a bit, but what X-Men would you want to come back? Like, how would we, for each of you, what's like, give me the 2 or 3 X-Men. You're like, well, it has to have these people in there. Adon, we've talked about this briefly before, but Adon, who would you pick has to be there in the new in the new Mutants version of MCU?
You know what? I would love to see Iceman. Like them do justice. Like I didn't like the previous versions of Iceman. I would love to see Iceman redone. You know what? Stick with the original crew. Go classic X-Men. Because they had a good onset of powers. The more popular version was the second version that came out with Wolverine. He wasn't part of the original. It was originally Beast, Iceman, Ms. Marvel, which is Jean
Was
Grey.
Namor in that batch too?
No,
Someone was saying dropping that because Namor's coming. That would make sense if they're like, well, yeah, no, because he's part of the Atlanteans or whatever, right?
True, but he's actually considered a mutant too.
Huh.
Yeah, so his biology is that he's a mutant as well. So he's also part of the mutant community, but he 100% like Black Panther. He's like, screw the world. It's Atlantis 100%. So you wouldn't see him in the X-Men series, not at first, anyways. He'll be more tied to Fantastic Four easily. Especially
but you need a Cyclops too, right? Don't you feel like you need Cyclops done properly in this finally? Or no?
No, yeah, you could definitely do Cyclops. And
that's the reality. You're
Angel.
listing all men, but see if you
I
did it that
Marvel.
way.
I had Ms. Marvel.
There's Rogue and Jubilee. Come on, man.
Yeah,
they
Rogue
came
is
later.
Good. Rogue is great.
Jubilee was like several teams down the line. Rogue came in down with I believe the second batch after they brought in Colossus. Storm was before Rogue, and was it? Did they have Polaris before that? No, Polaris came in.
Yeah, they're saying Rogue. Mike is saying Namor was the first mutant.
Yes, by definition,
Apocalypse
he was the first
might have
mutant.
something to say about that. But yeah, there you go. So and in theory, Namor could still be the first mutant because he is going to be in Black Panther 2. But then how do you just? I'm sure. Look, I don't doubt Marvel figuring that stuff out. Right? They must know. Okay, well, cool. This will be how we explain how these people were mutants or whatever. I'm looking forward to that. I hope they'll figure it out. But. Yeah. What about you, Nicole? Are there any X-Men you're like, they have to have this person in?
See, I'm not like I grew up reading the comics, but I was never like hardcore fan. It's only as I've gotten older that I've kind of started to appreciate the comics. I grew up on the animated series and of course the movies and all of that. So something for me that I feel like a little bit differently because for me the comics weren't what I grew up on, but I want to see some of those characters that have not yet really been established. Like they've kind of like meandered towards it a little bit. Like personally for me growing up, my favorite was always Gambit. So like they have not, I cannot believe, I know like there was some rumors way back that it was like maybe Channing Tatum was going to do Gambit and then nothing ever came of it. So I want to see some characters that have not yet been established in the previous franchises. It's like, when you think of Wolverine, everyone thinks Hugh Jackman. And I think it's going to be a little bit difficult for them to kind of break away from that unless they're planning on bringing in some of those original actors that played those characters. It's kind of like a toss-up. I have no idea what they're planning on doing now because as we saw with WandaVision, like I was like, sweet, they're bringing in Quicksilver. But now it doesn't look like they're doing that. So for me, it's like we've already had so much experience with those core characters. I want to see them branch out a little bit more and not just do some of the same old stuff. It's a problem that I've always had with like DC movies. We just keep remaking the same thing over and over again with different characters. And it's like, let people get established. Let them own that character. So that way, when I'm older and my kids are growing up, they know the same character as the same actor. That's personally like what makes it more enjoyable for me.
Well said. I mean, I feel like most people want a Wolverine, but I don't need Wolverine right away. I feel like you could stall that because we've seen him so much.
It's played out.
Yeah, and I think we still could use a little bit more time. He's not like the Joker. You know, it's like you can't. I don't see like multiple versions of him. Like you could probably do a harder version than Hugh Jackman did. Excuse me, God, this mic doesn't sit well sometimes. You could do, I think, an even like meaner version than even because Hugh was a little nicer at times. I feel like he got there, even though he was tough. But yeah, I don't know. I don't need another Wolverine for a while. I think they have so many characters. Storm would be great to bring in. It's so sad we lost Chadwick Boseman because bringing Storm into that. I think was a plan at some point too. Would have been amazing. There's so many opportunities they have as things were growing, but we shall see. But anyway, overall, Mutants it's exciting to know that Marvel is officially getting started on this. So yes, finally, thank you, man. I hope you guys keep the X-Men in there and don't get scared by the culture we currently live in. Anybody who's offended by the term X-Men, oh my God, get over yourself. It's not about you. It's just about the comics. It's about the history. We gotta stop doing that. It's so stupid. We're not calling you an X-Men. We're calling the X-Men that are fictional characters the X-Men. That's what they've always been called. But we'll see if Marvel has the guts to just do it. Hopefully they will. That's what we got for this part. I think, I'm going to probably trim this for the recap. So if you're watching this, we got so much more. We're going to talk about Space Jam 2, Lola Bunny, Jessica Rabbit. We got Zack Snyder Museum. What? So much to talk about. So if you're watching live, don't go anywhere. Those of you who've been watching on the replay, at least hit that subscribe button. And if you hit that join next to it, in fact, hit that join button. You can join as a member, become a member of the Popcorned Planeteers. And that way you can watch these at any time you want and at your leisure. Thank you guys so much for watching the replay. Everybody watching live, don't go anywhere. We're just getting started.